Whoa. How you doing, everybody? Hi, and Junior and Bruce. Hey, Stefan. Hi, Eddie. Mark. Boy, you guys are all awake now. I'm expecting a lot of trouble today. Oh, boy. Um, okay. I got to tell you, yesterday we were talking about, whoops, oh, there's something else about, it's always something. Well, I ordered this giant case that you could stick Big Ben in because it was my old case wasn't big enough for my California dial, and this one isn't either. I don't know what's going on with that, so I'm gonna have to find a charger for my Dremel light tool, shave this thing down without cracking the I don't know. It's just but one thing after another. I downloaded or uploaded. I got all this skunk on me. I had a cookie, and anyway, I uploaded the PDF file with the specs for the UWD 33.1. It's called 33.1-2. And what that really means is that I think it's the second version of the 33.1. I don't know what they did to it. Somehow I think it's sort of like, that once they took over Lang and Heim, I guess they could do whatever they wanted to. Hi, Dominic and Orange Han and Mark J. How you guys doing? Hey, Blake. Uh, Always check. Yeah, I know. Measure twice and cut once. This thing looked huge. I mean, look how big it is. Look at the size of those lugs. Oh well. Enough of that. Oh, let's put. Yeah, I didn't get it from Ofree. Those guys are Fry. Those guys always seem to, it's sort of my last resort. Not because their stuff isn't good, but my God, when you buy something there, you pay a fortune for shipping and everything else. And so when I get something from them, I sort of save up and hope they put it in one big shipment. Uh, yeah, I know. Well, I tell you what, there's something apparently on your computer screen, Mark. Click that, and that'll give you all the cookies you want. Oh, geezer. Let's see. Quick risk. Oh, it's yeah. For this week, this entire week, I've got on my Endeavor. Okay. I'm wearing my 7-day Endeavor for 7 days just to check it out. And what I've been doing though, I've been pairing it with different watches every day. Today I paired it with my let me see. I paired it with my Harry Winston because this one only has time. This one has day date on it, and since today, Connecticut was the last state to open up, such as it is, uh, they opened up a few things. A lot of people are insisting that oh, you got to open up the hair salons and the nail salons and the barber shops. You know, of all of the things that are, somebody is touching your face and stuff. I don't know. Uh, the thing I think now that it's sort of like going back to abnormal or whatever. Uh, I was looking at my cherry tree out in front, and that is loaded with little cherries. And that was what I thought because last year wasn't too good, but boy, this pollution-free spring we had was amazing. All of the bees weren't croaked, and just all kinds of good things happened, which is ironic, but not really when you stop and think about it. It's not unexpected. Oh boy. Okie doke. Hey, now shed, how you doing? Um, So, okay, I think I told you this yesterday. I'm not sure, but just in case I didn't, heard from the guys in. I heard from Langenheim, our UWD, and they said that the 33.2, the one with the center seconds, won't be ready until October, which I think is good. So, do any of you live near Dresden? Because they're having some kind of big invitational thing at Dresden, at Urin Work Dresden, to roll out this 33.2 as sometime in see September, sometime in either late September, or they might even have a preview in August, or maybe it's not until October. I'm not sure, but they are having they're having some kind of rollout on that. Okay, I should stop smoking it. It is a sign. You should stop smoking. You know, I stopped about 30 years ago, so I'm okay now. Um, oh, let's see. A couple things. What else was going on? I think that it's probably a good idea. I'm going to start. Hi, Beauty of Scent. Hi, Crappy. Um, it's probably not a bad time. I'm going to see if I can contact the guy who does the enamel and see if I can have a talk with him about some things. Also, I mentioned the guys in Turkey that I had talked to. They have these enamel dials they're making. So, not dials, but they're really trying to make an enamel glass. Maybe there's something there. The problem with that, though, is that whatever case we get, we're going to need to pay attention to the stuff that it comes with. Okay. Hey, Lee, GMT Master. Well, today what I did, I found a watch I liked, and so I thought, well, I'll put in an offer, and something really funny happened. All right, so I made an offer, and this robot comes up that says, "Oh, in fact, they invite you to make an offer," and then they have a robot that goes like that, and then it comes up with a counter offer. Oh my God, the counter offer was like, they took off 15 cents or something. It was awful. And it was like, oh boy, if you do this right away, um, the we'll give you this deal. It wasn't a deal, it wasn't anything. It wasn't like, don't they negotiate? And I was talking with somebody about it. We were having he was interested in a watch, and so we were going back and forth about watches and stuff. And his sold, and I thought about the attitude, and he was saying, well, they'll give you a 3% discount if you do it by wire, or they'll charge you an extra 3% if they do with that. In other words, these are the policies they have. So, watch collectors, there's no reason we shouldn't have our own policies. And I got mine. And that you realize, we've got the money, and they're trying to sell watches for money. And so it's a two-way street. So I don't know what these guys are thinking of doing. I say, well, here, maybe you can use it for a doorstop if you don't want to sell it. It's just crazy, the attitude. And I know it's rough being a dealer. God, I wouldn't want to be a dealer. You have all of this money invested and so forth. And what the best kind of thing, if you have a Rolex dealership and you have nothing but popular watches, you don't have to sell anything. You just have to be an order filler. But that's not true for a lot of the watches that are sort of off the beaten path or sort of interesting. So anyway, we had to sort of get a overall strategy. How do you, not to be, what do they say on Wall Street? They say bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. And I think that there's some place in between where you can have you can have a reasonable negotiation. But if somebody makes you a serious offer and you come back with some algorithm that a monkey made up or something that just like, oh. So I thought, well, I'll make up my own algorithm and empty their bank account. I don't know. Hey, Mr. Gumby, how you doing? Dr. A and B, did you check this? Oh, I forgot to do that. I tell you, Instagram is not the best way to contact me, but I'll try to remember because I don't check it. I have my Instagram, and every now and then I remember I have one, and then I'll go there and put some stuff in. But usually, if you need to contact me, you can always send me an email, or you can do it through High Horology Lounge, and just send a PM, and I'll get that because I've talked to most of you guys on those. Anyway, is Geezer sick? Geezer under the weather? That's not good. What happened to Geezer? Geezer, you're around here. You okay, Geezer? That's because too many buyers pony up the francs. Yeah, Rich Buddy, you're right. But I mean, the thing is that actually that may be true. But yeah, if they're sitting on a watch that's been around for a while, and we all know where the next stop is. It's in Shopworn or on one of those. I tell you, Touch of Modern is not the greatest. If I negotiate reasonably with somebody, I expect them to back and forth. I mean, if I do something stupid and offer them, half or well, I've done that before and they've accepted it. So I got to be careful about that. One of the best deals I made because there's certain watches aren't going to sell because of some little thing. And I found a watch like that and offered them half, and they took it in a minute. I mean, it was one of those things. And then I fixed the problem, and then so I had a really nice watch at a good price. But the issue is knowing as much as you can and being reasonable about it, saying, hey, come on, I gave you a really good offer, and you come back with some little robotic kind of thing. So, let me show you my robot. I got a robot that I have a little robot that cleans linoleum floors. So he does the kitchen and the bathroom and so forth. And we set him loose. He's in there running around. That's essentially what they did. I think I'll get my little robot cleaner and have him do a trick for him. I don't know. When you guys negotiate, do you ever have any of you ever run into a negotiation robot that really doesn't negotiate? Thanks, Mark. What watch was that? It was that watch I was talking about the other day, Eddie. Maybe it was one when you left the room. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Mark in, your response is nice policy. I'm walking. Yeah. Yeah, same here. I mean, is it like I said, I'm not in something to negotiate just to screw somebody. But if I've looked at enough watches, I've got a pretty good idea of two things: one, what their price is, and two, how long they've been there. Now, if something's starting to get mold on it because it's been sitting around so long, you should be willing to negotiate. They don't make the best doorstop because that's about all you're going to use them for. Either that or off they go, and you've lost the sale. You might, some of these guys will lose $1,000 to save a nickel. That's crazy. That is nuts. Don't get your robot in there. He may sweep up some lost watch parts. You got a point, Mr. Gumby. He was maybe you'll find a nickel for me. I can add that to my watch bank account. Uh Okie doke. So what's up with everybody else right now? See, the thing is that I don't know what's up with Aguilar. So I'm just, I tried, and so I'm at a point now where I'll just wait and see. Um, the other one is till October, and it didn't seem that as a group we wanted to go with the Rolf Lang because it was too big. I don't know. Okay, wristwatch check. This is just, it's the same one I've been wearing all week. This is my Endeavor 7-day Center Seconds by H. Moser et Company. Let's see. Is IA a tiny bit late? I don't know. Okay, better to make a small profit and gain a customer. Yeah, I'm the same way. And it's like if you have a good customer, your customer is, if there's sort of some sense of fairness. Given my Swedish background, I was reading an article about Swedish businessmen, and if any of you are Swedish, I don't mean to offend you, all right? But the Swedes have their attitude was and is like, well, you figure out a fair price, and that's what you do. And so if somebody comes up, they say, oh, we'd like one of your widgets. Say, okay, my widget is so many kroner. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, will you give me the discount if we do this and this and this? He says, no, we have it fixed. And they had to teach him how to negotiate a lot of things like that. But it was funny. It was just sort of like a cultural thing. Me, on the other hand, I got screwed a couple times, and that's all it took. In fact, just once. You get nailed once on a thing, and you say, okay, all right, you learn stuff. One of the worst things is a lazy salesperson or an inexperienced one. And I got some great deals because I knew some stuff that they didn't know. It's really funny. I don't want to say what they are. I don't want to embarrass anyone. But it was like I said, what? That thing has got that kind of feature on it. Well, it turned out that kind of feature was like really rare. And I said, the other ones don't. They got this other thing here. Says, who wants that one? But I'll take this one off your hands for you. So, all right. If you don't know if you're in watch sales and you don't know what you're doing, you're lost. I think if there's I don't know how some people just love to negotiate. I don't. I mean, I don't love to negotiate for the sake of negotiation, but I do because, I don't want to pay what I consider to be more than I should or more than I want to. And I'm always thinking of the next watch. Bonkers. Okay, what's going on, Bonkers? Oh, Cricky, a dealer in London listed Brass Journe Tour for 185K today, and it already got sold. That is bonkers. I agree with you. I can't afford a lot of the watches I have now, and I'll tell you, if you have a choice of being really smart or being lucky, go with lucky every time. It always seems to work better. How about a Vacheron overseas dual time? It's a 41 millimeter rather than the 42.2 chrono, like smaller size. And yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm not that familiar with the dual time. Okay. Um, I was working on something today and I found something that I've always liked. It's not popular. It was discontinued. And I found out something about it today that made it even more valuable to me, but it's something that way over what I'd want to spend on a watch. And it's the kind of watch that there's like, once you get your knighthood, this is what you wear to your knighthood, but I'm not quite sure where it is. I mean, where I'd use it outside of that, except, sitting here, weaving it around, I'd have to put on a tuxedo or something. There's some funny things. Uh, Okie doke. Uh, did it quit out for anyone else? What was that? What was that? Let's see. Something's going on. I see horns growing out of your head. Well, as long as they're not out of the sides, I'm okay. Let's see. Is the rich one dancing for us? I don't know. Hey, Alton, buy the watch and not the story. Yeah, yeah, good point, Alton. My phone just quit out, and I'm back now. We had a really funny thing happen a few nights ago. Right in the middle, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Our power went out, and my wife found out about it and stuff, and called them, and I don't know, I guess she was the first one to let them know that the power was out where we were. And then it was on a couple hours later. Nothing happened much, but something really funny happened to me last night. Yesterday, I put up a one of those motion lights, and it's got a solar battery, and so I set it up, and got it up there. I don't know what you do with it. So 3:30 in the morning, all of a sudden it was bright outside. I thought, oh, it's time to get up. And it was one of the critters that live around us had gotten the thing on. And so here I am at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, where's the sun? Yeah, and then I had that I had that huge case, wouldn't fit my either my California dial or those blank dials I have. I don't know. And then I found my rotor, and then I couldn't find my rotary tool, but couldn't find a charger for it. It's always something. I mean, know, it's I think we live in a world of what next, but then something really good will happen just out of the blue. Something good, and it's the same way. I'm very optimistic. I was once considering getting a pocket watch in Cape Cod on vacation. They were selling it as a broken watch, but I wound it and shook it, and then it started running. The salesman then tried to double the price. Needless. Oh man, yeah, that's the thing to do. Don't let them. Next time, don't let them see it. How do you decide how much discount is a good discount? Do you check prices online and then go with the lowest price? Well, that's a good question, Beauty. Man, there are a lot of things that play into it. One thing I always ask myself, how much money do I have that I can afford, and how much is this worth to me? All right. If it's not that much, if it's not worth that much to me, then I won't get it. Or if it's not worth what I should spend, then I won't get it. That's another thing I think it's really important because, sometimes like this for this one, I saved up for, I think, about 6 months. And then a couple things happened, all out of like money fell from a tree on me. And so suddenly I had a little more than I knew, and I was able to get and all kinds of stuff happen. I think I've mentioned this before, but the thing is that they're contingencies, and I think in any negotiation you have to be aware of these contingencies. Um, if a watch you like, for example, is become super popular for whatever reason. Let's say that some movie star wears it, and suddenly everybody who likes watches that movie stars wear wants to get it, or something else about it that somebody writes a review and said, "Oh, this is an awful watch." There's all kinds of things. Or nobody likes it. Hey, the Pershing is a great example. He's an excellent watch that nobody wants, and so it's. I think the people selling them are in a very bad position because if they know anything, they know that this is something that's going to gather dust for a long time unless they make a deal with it. I don't know. So in terms of beauty of scent. In terms of negotiation, I think the thing that you have to decide right away is what is your exactly what how far are you willing to go, not not what your initial uh, negotiation price is, but where your top limit is. This is one of the problems with auctions, especially live auctions. People often get very excited in live auctions. The worst thing you can do in a live auction is to get your macho on. You don't want to do that. "Oh, I'm going to get this guy and I want this really bad." Then you realize once you get it for, let's say, even if it's a decent price, then they tag on a 25% premium that you have to pay. So if you buy, a $10,000 watch, they're going to give you another charge of $2,500. And so what you may have thought was a deal turns out not to be such a good deal after all. And in negotiations, I think the same thing. Sometimes I've dealt with dealers who they get all macho about it and stuff. And I rarely, I don't know if most of them are still around, but are some people like to deal that way? I don't. It's like, come on, let's look at this and look at this. Of course, I want to show my side of the story. Hey, Max D, how you doing? Go in hard and be prepared to walk away. I think that's the I go on with a smile. Hi guys, how would you like to make some money today? I'm the worst negotiator in the world. Take advantage of me. That's the way I go. And I don't go in like, I'm a tough guy. You set, people see you coming then. Me, it's like a snake in the grass. Mr. Spock once quipped, the pattern is randomness. That too. Yeah, that's very true. Those are the contingencies that come up. Contingencies are, I there's so many of them that it's like, in a cop interrogation, a cop says, "I don't believe in coincidences." That's all there is. It said, "Oh, tell me, how'd you meet your wife, cop?" "Oh, well, it was something weird. She had a date and they broke the date, and suddenly, it's just all kinds of contingencies, and the same in watch negotiation. Uh, Hey, 73 math, no harm in asking for a discount. Only can say no. That's right. You don't ask for a discount. You tell them what it is. You say, this is what I'm going to give you for that. You know. And if they get mad, what are they going to do? Go pout in the corner? They're going to call you a name? Man, if you've been on the internet for a while, everyone calls everyone names. We try to avoid it here, but the idea, the thing is, as a collector, we have every right to have a policy as some of these other ones. Because I said, well, if you send it by wire, then there's this discount. If you use a credit card, there's this added fee, and all right, I get it. They have a policies. No reason we can't either. The buyer's premium is a ripoff. When I was young, we to auctions never had a buyer's premium. They charged seller. Yeah, I know. That's this is something that's how they make their money, though. If you go to Phillips or what are the Christie's or any of the big auction houses, they have 25% that they charge the buyer. And I don't know how they get away with that. I can understand if them charging the seller, but they don't. And I think there's so much competition to get the right sellers. And like, for example, the auction house that had Paul Newman's Rolex. You know what? They sell a thing for $1 million, and the guy's got to kick in $250,000 on top of that. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was something like that. You know how much an auction house would make off of that? And so if the seller is getting the seller gets $1 million, the auction house gets 250,000. Hey, you know, that's why you want to find sellers with good products, and that's where the competition is. If an auction house starts telling you, well, you know, we're gonna charge you X amount, and you know, the seller might say, well, heck, I can do that on my own. The buyer, on the other hand, I think sometimes they have these two terms. I forgot what they use for the realized price and the something or other price. One is the price that, oh, they call it the hammer price, I think, when let's say, okay, sold for, you know, $10,000. Well, really it's $12,500 is what the buyer has to have on that. So your recent video on watch discount really shows how much some brands are a ripoff, like Parmigiani. At least a Zenith or an Omega is not overpriced. I don't think you're right, Rich Buddy. I think you're that's I never tried to say that. I didn't say that they were a ripoff. They weren't. They're excellent watches. They just aren't popular. I mean, you have, you know, they could put a, you know, nuts and bolts in a Rolex and somebody would buy it because they're used to buying Rolexes. On the other hand, a Parmigiani, you know who the designer is, you know who, you know, and you know how it's made, you know the entire process, and they're excellent watches. The problem is that for whatever reason, people don't like a lot of them. Some of them they like. I like them a lot, but you know, to say it's a ripoff, I'll tell you, I got my own ideas what a ripoff is, but I don't say, you know, things that just aren't true about that. Now they charge both buyer and seller. Do they, Dominic? That's not right. Everybody calling each other names on the internet. I once was called a corner mark. Oh God, you're an exception, Mark. That's not calling you a name. That's a description. Oh God. Uh, I don't know. You have if if you're going to buy a watch from a dealer, the dealer, some dealers they just won't negotiate. Okay, you can choose to deal with them or not. If I don't know, wasn't Paul Newman's watch 19 million? Probably was, Roger. You know, it's something crazy like that. I don't know what it was. The 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 point is that I think that if we're paying a huge amount for these watches, we should wheel and deal on them. You stop and think about what you'd spend, let's say, $1,000 on. My God, you know, my wife and I will go around for a long time. You know, we can get a new TV set. Well, you want to get this one or this one, you know, something like that. And if it's anywhere near $1,000, it's a big deal. But watches, there's that all the time. What to give you an idea, I once traded in a watch, and 5 minutes later, and this is true, it didn't take them a minute. They took the watch that I traded in, and they had it up for $2,000 more than they gave me for it. All right, so there's some money to be made there. Trust me. But a Rolex isn't 25,000 on discount for 65. Yeah, but Rich Buddy, they're the same kind of quality of the design and everything else isn't in a Rolex. Rolex has got, to me, an excellent system set up. And a system is something like this. They have a reliable movement or a set of movements. And I know they use them in more than one watch. And so if you buy, what do they call Air King or a Milgas? A Milgas costs $2,000 more than an Air King. They both have the same movement. And so you have a system set up, and you have a wonderful marketing system. Parmigiani has a crummy marketing system. You know, they couldn't sell life rafts on the Titanic. These guys don't have a good marketing system, and they need to do that. because they have an excellent product. You take a look at a couple years ago, they decided, okay, it's about time they put some of their watches in the Grand Prix. And not only did they win one, they won two in the same year. That doesn't happen too often. How many has Rolex won? Well, they haven't won any because if they put their watches up against other ones and judged by people who are watch experts, how well do you think they would do? We'll never know because it would be really dumb of them to do that because they're living on their reputation right now. I mean, and this is not against Rolex. It's simply the differences in terms of what you get in terms of what you're marketing. I don't want to buy marketing. I don't want to buy hyperbole. I think anybody who spent $19 million on Paul Newman's watch, they'll probably be worth 30 million in a couple of years as an investment back and forth. But I mean, it's same watch. I don't know, what was it, a Daytona in whatever model it was. How can they mark up a watch so much? Robbery. Who is they? Rolex. Rolex marks theirs up because they don't have to have any innovation. They just put out the same thing, and they have a huge markup. When I was at Citibank in New York, they said there'd never be fees for ATM cards because it saved banks money from walking inside. Fast forward to today, and one is nicked and dimed for endless fees. Yeah, one of the things, Forbin, this is an example of robotics. Robotics, people are thinking like robotics is, like a lot of these Japanese robots that they got these people doing stuff. Your robotics, that's not the robotics. The robotics word processor. You know how many secretaries lost their jobs because of word processing? It made things far easier. And the secretarial pool went down. The bank tellers went down. All of these things were computerized out. Look at assembly lines. They got these robots doing stuff. Those look like robots. And there's that company that's owned by Festina, whose name I always forget. It's in Switzerland, who uses the nanotechnology and microbotics in their making watches. Oh man, yeah. I don't know. It's like you have. I think the whole discussion of watches, we don't need to have the discussion about resale value. Uh, Unless you're going to be trading watches. If I were flipping watches, I'd get nothing but Rolexes and Patek Philippe because they're the most popular and they're easy to sell, and you can sell them for what you paid for them. If you're smart, you can do that with Parmigiani, and you can do it with a lot of other brands too. If you're really smart, you can make money doing it. But the idea that that I think there's been too much judgment on the basis of resale because it's some a collector, they say, well, I forked out X $1,000 and what's going to happen when I get tired of the watch? Well, they'll tell you, hey, gee whiz, you can get most of that back because it's an easy watch to sell. But maybe where's the judgment about the quality of the watch, the workmanship, or anything else? There are lots of examples of top-notch watchmakers and lousy marketing. And most of them that have gone that route end up owned by someone like Richemont. And you take some of the top brands. You take Elanga, Vacheron Constantin, Jaeger LeCoultre. You take all of these really important watch brands and are owned by this big conglomerate. Patek Philippe and Rolex, they do such a good job that they duck the bullet on that. But that's making the best watches. No, I don't think so. They make excellent watches, but not the very best. I'll put it that way. And they're smart about marketing. And this is why I think that as collectors, we need to be smart about buying watches. We can't just like, here's my money. Oh, you want a premium? Okay, here, I'll give you that too. You can if you want. Yeah, and that's something I couldn't put it better than that. You can buy a Parmigiani at an AD and not get ripped off. So how does resale not matter? Best off to ignore the brand. Well, look, it depends what you want in a watch. Like I said, if you want to buy a resale value, keep your money, wrap it around your wrist, and then you'll get it all back again. If you want to buy a watch with something interesting in it and something that is important to you, and if you buy a Rolex or a Patek Philippe because there's something in that watch that you really like other than the reputation, then you have a great watch. Like, for example, I've said it a number of times, the ones that I like by Rolex are not very popular. And that includes the Yachtmaster 2, the Air King, and the Prince. They aren't popular. And if I bought one, I'd probably lose money if I tried to resell it again. But I wouldn't. But if you keep a watch that you like, you'll never lose a thing. The watch itself, the quality of a watch doesn't lose value. That will never be lost. The only thing you'll ever lose is the amount of money that you'll get back after your original investment. If you buy a Parmigiani at a big discount, believe me, you can sell it for that very close to that same discount. I don't know why people are so concerned about resale value when buying watches. I bet they lose a lot more value in their cars, but everyone's still buying them. You buy right and the quality, yeah. Um, it's there's nothing wrong with that though. Here's the thing: there, if I am most concerned about resale value, if I want to buy a watch, keep it for a while, and resell it, then I'm worried about resale value. Okay. And I enjoy doing that. And I enjoy collecting watches that way. That's fine. That's just a way of collecting watches. But the idea that there's any one way, I think is nuts. There's a guy who collects inexpensive watches. I'll put it that way. But they are so well selected. They are so much fun. And there's some brands that I'd never heard of before. Whenever he brings up a watch he got for $15 that he found on eBay, it's always really interesting. And what he's doing, he's collecting watches within his budget. And so he's got to be really smart about it because he has to know about the movement, all of these other things. But I don't think he's ever thought of resale value. On the other hand, people I know have wonderful collections, and they're like almost like a revolving door. And that's what they like. They like to watch the revolving door as they buy and they sell and they buy and they sell. There are a lot of different ways to enjoy it. And my way is certainly not the only way. It's just the way I do it. Yeah, it has something. Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, buy what you like. Exactly. And this is why I think that why it's important to really learn about your watches, uh, because you can discover things you like. One of my best recent discoveries was the remontoire in the true second of the Zaza Lacouture Geophysique true second. Now, I mean, if you look at the true second, man, I tell you, I've seen more compelling designs on a schoolroom wall. I mean, you've got this dial, but it's got something interesting that I got interested in and nobody else is. I don't care. See, that's the whole thing is that if you care about the watches and what you like, you could the people I think with the most interesting collections are about them. And I was looking at the number of collections that I've been reviewing. I I learned something new about every one of them. And there's, to find out what is somebody else's joy in a certain watch, that is what's fun because you can find it for yourself as well. Well, Rich, but if you're going to put money in something, it should be protected. Uh, it is in my case, if I buy a watch like this that I like and I wear a lot and does a really good job of timekeeping, and I think is I like to look at it on my wrist, how can I lose money on that? I mean, how am I not protecting my wealth? On the other hand, if I buy a watch because I know I can resell it and I'm bored every time I look at the thing, that to me is where you lose the value. The investment ideology has been a plague. was, yeah, a plague. What? It's funny because Biver, I think is his name, referred to he calls them gray markets, to the secondary markets as a cancer. And then Richemont went and spent this last year some, I think, a $500 million or something like that, rebuying watches from Cartier and some of the other companies they own to keep the price high. What a now maybe that's a good business practice. I don't know. The business end of it, if I I can't see watches. Somebody whose name I won't mention wanted to go into the luxury watch business. I said, "My God, that that would be, I tell you, a rough business to go into." It's like publishing. Oh yeah, there's people who go into publishing are oftentimes dreamers that they want to be an editor and they want to work with some publisher in some New York publisher, some big house, and they're all dreamy and they go into it. And but the reality of it is very different. And I'm sure it is in the watch business too. If you're, to be good in the watch business is totally different than being a good collector, I think. A good collector is one with happy with what he or she buys, not anything else that I can see. I purchased a Ulysses uh, Black Ocean diver from an AD, retail 8.7K, my price 7.2K, resale it's worth four tops. You could say I got screwed, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, True Junior, you didn't get screwed. How do you get screwed if you enjoy something? Like, okay, somebody goes in, they buy a Rolex, they pay a premium, and they just love the thing. They love it to death. And somebody comes along and says, "Oh, hey, I got the same watch. I didn't have to pay a premium. You got screwed." No, they didn't get screwed. The person who gets screwed is buying a watch that they don't want, but they think it's what they should buy and don't enjoy it. So, I I agree that the whoever I guess Eddie said it was that you don't the sometimes the investment mentality gets in the way. If you see another watch you like better, you want to trade your watch in, that might be important. But, and also too, we spend way too much money. This is why I don't mind negotiation, because what negotiation can do in a way is prevent you from buying a watch. I'm going to really negotiate, and some seller digs in his heels. This one poor guy, it took me almost a year to convince him. But the thing of it is that they got a watch that they're hanging on to. Okay, this is a cost me $200. I understand there's now selling for 220. Hot dickety dog. That's this is my regulator, and I enjoy it as much as I do some really expensive watches. Okay. All right. What's going on? Okay. Crappy Luxury said sad. I don't know what's sad. Most people don't understand what true investment grade watches, cars, art actually cost. I don't know. Um, there's some things I know what you buy. I think if you buy really certain people buy, you buy this skill of the craftsman. Okay, and what gets hard about it, I think, and this is why Seiko, in my opinion, and I'm not. This is not bashing Seiko. Believe me, is that all of their stuff is so perfect. If you get a Seiko, you're gonna get well, maybe my Seiko 5 has a personality, I'll put it that way. It's got its own mind for time. But for the most part, though, you see a lot of their watches, and they're so perfect because the machining and all of these other things are just perfect. Um, but if you get a Wooten Lannen, you'll see all kinds of little little human things in there that make it really interesting. The same thing if you get I'm going to say this wrong, a Jaime Ahsoka. That is totally individual kind of creation, like a Dufour or like a a Marco Lang or even or a Rolf Lang. They're doing this stuff now. If that's what you like, other people they want it. They want it to be on time. They want it to be just so. And a Spring Drive is their dream watch because it's so accurate and they're very pretty. Other people it doesn't do much for. And so whatever floats your boat. Hey, Dwayne B. Grand Seiko is doing some amazing dials. Yeah, they got the great looking ones. I had to go through a lot of watches to truly find my taste. That's a good point. That's an excellent point, Williams watches. And I think this is why I think it's important not to sort of fixate on one brand or one kind of watch. Williams watches, I totally agree with you. Yeah, Mark, I'm the same way, Mark in about I'm having too much fun with my watches. Um, and if you're not, I don't know. The difference between resale and no resale can matter as to how big a collection I can afford. I'm not super wealthy like you all. No, wait a minute. You don't have to be super wealthy. You got to be you got to spend time learning about things. This is why oh God, I wish I could think of, well, I don't want to bring up his last name, but Eric's collection. He has what I would call a super well selected collection with fascinating watches, like brands like Romer. And a lot of these would come under the category of vintage, but every one of them is really interesting in some way. The biggest criticism I have of his watches is his focus. The pictures he takes are out of focus, so he's working on that part. But he enjoys it, and it's like that. I've mentioned this several times, but it's true. There's this guy who he's got this Tag Heuer collection, and they have all of they're these little funky watches, and they're all these different colors, and he likes that, so he collects them, and he's having the time of his life. What does it matter? You hear there was oh, like I like you talk about stupid, all right, but more fun to me is the Jacquet 736. I love these things. They're a cool movement, and I don't know exactly everything I'd like to know about them, and that's why I like them. They're a shape movement. They are possibly the iboche of a ETA Pazoo 7001. But boy, they're neat. They work great, and I found them on different brands and get them when I can, and that's sort of like a sub collection out of collection, and I think that anybody can do that. I like I love this. My $200 regulator. It's just a regulator with a box to check off. It was not, and if I resell this ever, I've known people have been reselling, making money from them, but that's not, it's just not the way I do collection. A roamer media. Oh, you're working on a roamer. Um, let's admit, we pick our watches as we do our women. No, we get picked by them. Some like it thin, fancy, others and prefer thicker, oversized, exotic. Oh man. Okay. You know, the the discussion I think that we're having brings something out, and that I think is important to appreciate is that we got a lot of different ideas going on here about what makes a good watch collection, which means we've got a lot of different people who enjoy watches in their own way. One thing, though, oftentimes we overlook is we're all nuts. The amount of money that we're spending on an archaic mechanical technology is, is sort of crazy, but that's what makes it fun. It's the craziness of it, not how much we spend. Oh boy. Okay. A new record. Uh-oh, what am I doing? Have I gone over? Okay, geezer, I'm sorry. I guess I was I got off the hook today. Hey, Chi Town. Hi, Tim. Oh, okay. I prefer to be an enthusiast than a collector. That way I can appreciate something I don't own. Oh, wow. Orange Hand, that is beautifully put. That is, that's how come I have a lot of fun when we go to these get-togethers like we do. Well, we used to. I don't know if we get this year, but the watch time shows, and then we get together with all these different people, and people have different levels of collections. Everybody is having fun with because look at that, isn't that cool? Things like that. So I think that is what Orange Hand said. I think is important. Okay, guys, I'm way overdue, probably in trouble, and so hey guys, keep on keeping on and stay safe, and hope to see you tomorrow.